Did you even hear the bell bowl? You're so noisy today, but I know it's because you're all excited to be back, right? Is that right? And see your friends? No? Yes. Okay, so let us begin.
Good afternoon, everybody. Do sit down. Very warm welcome back to the first formal gathering of the whole school of the new term. The head is away in Asia doing a little bit of work for admissions and for the foundation office, so he'll be back as we get into Easter weekend. But it's been lovely to start the term bathed in warm sunshine and feel the campus really coming back to life as this wonderful spring term begins. We have some visitors in the room. I think this was mentioned on Monday, but I'd like to use this setting just to formally welcome the students and staff from Shawnigan School in Japan who are with us and have joined grade 11 for classes and in the boarding houses and for really a full immersion into the Shawnigan experience. A very, very warm welcome to them, and if we could give them one. And I would just like to thank Mr. Wilkie in particular for putting together such a thorough programme for our visitors, and to the house directors and hosts in the boarding houses, as well as to the grade 11 round table and Mr. Doig, who have all worked really hard to ensure that our visitors have a great and full experience with us. We also have Erica from Azabu School in Japan, who's staying for a couple of nights in Stanton. Her father is an alum and also worked at Shawnigan, now based in Japan, but a very, very warm welcome to Erica as well. So we have an important term ahead, and particularly for the grade 12s, the final term at Shawnigan, always a memorable occasion. It'll fly by, so the message really to the grade 12s is to grab every moment and make the most of it, but do please retain the academic focus, and there's some challenges there ahead, and make sure we're prepared as well as we can be for those. Similarly for grade 11s with AP exams coming and so on. For the grade 11s, also start to think and progress your university applications as we go through this term. There's lots of messages already for meetings and guidance and so on, so do make the most of the expertise available and really look to charge those applications to give yourself the best possible chance of success next year. For the other grades, we're in the midst of choosing courses for next year, and again, give that your full attention, research carefully now, and make sure you make the right choices early on so that you're not having to adjust things once the constraints of the timetable are around you next term. So research carefully now and make the right choice early for those other grades, and seek the advice of your advisors and other staff as you do so. Looking back at the spring break that's been, huge thanks to staff who gave up their holiday time, valuable holiday time, to go on trips overseas. It's great to have that back on the agenda and the ability to visit exciting and interesting cultures elsewhere. Mr. Mays is going to reflect on this with a few students in a moment, but particular thanks to the staff for giving up their time. Also, huge thanks to students for representing us so well on those trips. All the feedback that I've heard has been unbelievably positive, hugely positive, which doesn't surprise me and is a great accolade to how you conduct yourselves. And these things do matter. My first interaction with Shawnigan Lake ever was 6 years ago at rugby school when the rugby team was attending a sevens tournament very similar to the one that we've just been at. I hadn't heard of Shawnigan before then. They were the biggest group for a start, the biggest entourage of parents, having the most fun for sure, engaging the most with the other sides over there, and showing the greatest commitment on the field. So it did make a lasting impression, and I'm very proud 6 years later on to be addressing you here in chapel. So these things do matter, and it's lovely to hear such great feedback from all those trips today, and I look forward to hearing the reflections of a few students in a moment. More mundanely, please can you ensure that you fill in your REACH form for the upcoming leave weekend over Easter break. It's really important that you do that. Even if you're a day student and live on campus, please fill that in. It'll take you about 20 seconds, and it'll save somebody else or other people 20 minutes work chasing these up. So please do take the time to get that completed accurately, and therefore reduce work for the Transportation Office in particular, and other people chasing up missing information. So please do that, and it'll help enormously. So we'll start today with hymn number 18.
Please be seated. So after a 3-year break in taking international trips, I feel very fortunate to be talking to you today about the 4 trips and tours that went out over spring break. And also, I do not take our trips and tours for granted. EDGE is at the forefront of all of our trips and tours. EDGE stands for Experience, Development, Gratitude, and Engagement. New experiences, often uncomfortable ones that require courage, help to develop us so we are able to live our lives with gratitude and engage deeply with things that are important to us. This process inspires us to take on new experiences, and so the cycle of development, gratitude, and engagement continues. It takes an immense amount of courage to immerse yourself in a French school in Angers, spending a week living with a billet family in a new country. I'm certain this experience has helped to make some of students' academic classes more relevant, promoting deeper engagement. Why do we take teams on tours to other countries? The impacts go far beyond the matches that you play on the field. From my own personal experience, I don't remember a single thing about the games that I played during my high school rugby tour to New Zealand, but I remember each billet family that I stayed with. I remember the unusual meals that they served. I remember the cultural events that I experienced. I remember how we were welcomed, both as a team and individuals, by our hosts. This experience inspires me to welcome groups that visit us at Shawnigan, as I know they may not remember the actual events that took place during their visit, but I know they will remember how they feel or how they felt. We're living this right now with our 8 Japanese guests. I don't think they're going to remember any of the details in their chemistry and physics and math classes, but they're going to remember how you supported them in their classes and how you welcomed them into your rooms and your houses and your activities. I hope this sets the stage for you and illustrates some of the many reasons that trips and tours are an important part of the Shawnigan journey. We have representatives from 4 of our tours that are going to speak to you briefly today, and I'd invite you to welcome Max and Grace to speak to you about the Edge Costa Rica trip.
Hi everyone, my name is Grace Strong from a grade 11 in Groves.
And I'm Max, I'm a grade 12 in Coatman's House, and this is our Edge Costa Rican experience.
Okay. The moment I sat on the plane back to Victoria, I realized that our Costa Rica Edge trip 2023 had come to an end. As I look back on these past 2 weeks, I thought to myself, what should I bring back with me to Canada and to everywhere I go? Of course, I would bring the stuffed animals I got from the animal center, the friendship bracelet I made on the beach, and the shells I collected on our snorkeling day. There are so many more things that I want to bring with me, but I know for sure that I will bring the phrase pura vida. In Costa Rica, everyone seems to go with the flow and live in the moment, making it easy for them to spot the pure life in small moments. It was as if life were a plate of rice and beans, and my goal has always been to finish the plate as quickly as possible so that I can move on to the next plate. Costa Ricans, on the other hand, would be slowly chewing on their rice and beans in front of them, taking in all the flavors of every single bite. The meaning of Ed Trip, in my opinion, is being willing to open your arms to anything. It could be a warm hug for the students after teaching them please and thank you. It could be Ben the monkey jumping onto your shoulders while you make barbecue grills that will generate income for the community. It could be the ocean breeze swinging through your arms. Lastly, I would like to thank everyone that helped make this trip so remarkable. Goodbye, Costa Rica. Pura vida.
Okay, so I'd like to start my piece by saying that this was most definitely not a vacation. We had a few projects, but one of our main projects was painting a remote school, which was basically in the middle of the jungle. And there was one teacher there who also was the principal. And the reason she wanted this school painted was so the students could take pride in where they were going and the community had something to be proud of. It is significantly easier for these kids to just be homeschooled or work on their farms and stay home. But instead, they walked to school every day in the rain, in the sun, and they just went. And this whole Edge experience was just super inspiring in the sense that I witnessed and lived a lifestyle that was just so different from anything I've ever experienced. I can't say I've enjoyed doing a service or a labor more than I did on the Edge Costa Rican experience. Knowing that what I was doing was making an immediate impact was just so fulfilling and made me super happy. Living in the sense of just being happier rather than making money seemed to just be a way better way to live. And they live in a lower quality of life, but they're way happier than we are because they're less stressful. Eli, our guide, and Memoir driver very quickly became 2 of our favorite people on the trip, as they were always smiling and bringing joy, no matter when the mood was low, if something just went wrong, they always found a positive way to move past it. And I would also like to thank Ms. Cholak, Lawsy, and the rest of the team for creating an experience that was unlike anything I had had. Thank you.
So next I'll invite Josh Ketch to talk about the Rugby Sevens trip to rugby school, and Harrison McGurk to talk about the French exchange in Alger, please.
Okay, so during the break, myself along with 14 other players had the privilege of traveling to the UK and playing in two of the biggest and most prestigious tournaments in the world. We started off our tour in Wimbledon playing at the Roslyn Park Sevens, which is the biggest tournament in the world with over 10,000 people competing annually. We had 250 teams in our league alone, in our division alone, and it's quite a historical tournament starting in 1939. Mr. Samuels actually played there himself when he was in his schoolboy rugby days. Yeah. So after that, we spent the day in London and in our time at Les Mis, where we were able to listen to and watch a beautiful play about the tragic story of Jean Valjean, with Henry Gav singing along to every single word. A long-standing tradition of Shawnigan rugby tours is staying with billet families. When we were in Cardiff, this tradition was carried forward, and we were served with home-cooked Welsh meals and toured around the city. As Mr. Doyle calls it, God's country. While we were there, we played 4 friendly matches against our billet school in the pouring rain. The game was completely soaked, and we were covered in mud to the point where you couldn't read the numbers on our jerseys. On our last day in Cardiff, we visited the home facility of the Welsh national team, which was outfitted with wrestling mats. And Mr. Murdy was able to relive his glory days as he tossed us across the ring. After that, our final stop was rugby school, where 200 years ago, William Webb Ellis took the ball in his hands and sprinted down the pitch, giving birth to the game we now love. The tournament consisted of 20 teams who were specially invited, and there was representation from every continent. Our first game was a hard-fought battle against the number 2 school in England, Clifton College. We went into the match with high spirits and the goal of sticking to our game plan. We ended up leading for most of the second half and unfortunately conceding to a try in the last few minutes. The bonus point that we earned that day also really made us believe that we fit into that tournament and was a big confidence booster for us moving into our 15th season. Ultimately, the tour was an incredible experience that will be a core memory for me and all my teammates when we look back on our Shawnigan days. I'd like to take this chance to thank Mr. Logan for the filming, all the parents who donated, and especially Mr. Williams, Mr. Doyle, and Mr. Murdy for giving us their time so that we could prepare and make the tour as special as it was. I know we all grew as players. I'm hoping a lot of us grew as people, and just want to say thank you very much on behalf of the boys.
I think Melody's coming up too, yeah.
All right, hello everyone. My name is Melody, I'm a grade 11 in Groves.
Hi, I'm Harry, I'm a grade 11 in Ducks.
And we are 2 of the 15 Shawnigan students who went to Angers, France over the spring break. The trip was a 2-week exchange fully in French, thank you. Each student was assigned a correspondent and family to live with for the first week and a half in Angers. For example, I was with a family of 5 with my amazing correspondent Juliette, who kindly offered to host me for the week. Each student arrived with a goal or something they wished to achieve over the trip, like how I decided to go on this trip to improve my French and my understanding of French culture. Others wanted to experience life in another country or try the fascinating foods like the goat cheese and pastries. But what we didn't expect was that we were going to do all that and make friends that'll last a lifetime. Now, as a Shawnigan student, it is hard to imagine a world outside of the Shawnigan community. Nevertheless, we went headfirst into this exchange. Similar to Shawnigan, the Lycée Sacré-Cœur, the high school we went to, was a very tight community with, from what I understand, nearly 1,000 students. Everyone was welcoming from the moment we arrived, walking us to class, sitting with us at lunch, and even forcing us, or at least me, to go to a cafe after school to get to know us better. Not very different from the students at Shawnigan when inviting the grade 9s into their new houses.
So while in Angers, we would go to classes in the morning and we would do different activities as just our exchange group in the afternoon. So we visited the Château d'Angers, the Museum des Beaux-Arts, a market called the Marché Lafayette, and a goat farm, which, by the way, Mr. Lin loved the baby goats. However, each of us traveled to different parts of France during the weekend with our families, like Mont Saint-Michel, the Le Mans racetrack, to rap concerts, sports games, etc. For the final days of our exchange, we went to Paris, and we set off in our respective groups to explore the city on our own. We saw iconic monuments like the Eiffel Tower, the Louvre, Arc de Triomphe, Sacré-Cœur, and even weird green-themed McDonald's they have. This all happening while thousands of people are protesting every night and garbage worker strikes. It was a very interesting time to see Paris. Overall, this trip will live in our memories forever. We made strong connections with people we would have never met otherwise, traveled to historical places, tried lots of rich French food, took in the subtle differences like baguette vending machines, but most importantly, got a special opportunity to practice our French in a more realistic environment. We came back with more appreciation for Shawnigan and new cultural experiences. We hope to welcome the French students that will come to Shawnigan next October, and thank you so much to Mr. Lin and the Hyde Lays for putting in so much effort this trip.
Thanks, everyone. The final presentation will be about the European History Tour, and I'll invite Max and Gabe up.
Hey, I'm Max. I'm a grade 11 from Duxbury.
And I'm Gabe. I'm grade 12 in Lawns.
So this past March break, me and Gabe, along with 26 other students, were led by a very experienced and knowledgeable Mr. Lupton, Miss Russell, Miss Marlin, and Mr. Robertson on a Northern European history tour. The first part of our junior journey took us to Germany and Belgium, where we got to visit and experience places such as concentration camps, war memorials, and view firsthand the impacts these wars had on these countries. Most nights we would have some free time to go around these different cities and explore the diverse different cultures, or find castles for Gabe to take photos of, which only added to this amazing experience. You've probably read about both the world wars in history class, or watched the many movies on them. But being there firsthand and standing on the same beach, such as Juno Beach, where Canadian soldiers stormed only 78 years ago, really put into perspective for me and many other students the importance of these men and women that sacrificed their lives for us. A cemetery we visited that had a big impact on me was the Benny Surmer Cemetery at Juno Beach, where we got to visit one of our very own Shawnigan alumni, William Ferguson, who would have probably been standing in the same chapel the same way you and I are today, singing these same hymns a mere 80 or so years ago. Being able to see these beautiful cemeteries with their somber and pristine tombstones replete with the different epitaphs, and seeing a familiar Palman Key Murat Fret underneath William Ferguson's tombstone really opened my eyes to the vast stretch of men and women from all over the world that took part in these wars. It connected each of us in a very personal way to the past, and the sense of gratitude for the sacrifices of so many was so powerful.
All right. This March break, I had the opportunity of a lifetime to travel across Europe on a Canadian World Wars tour with 27 other students, 4 staff, and our trusty, I forgot his name. Steve. That's not his actual name, but it's close enough. Stefan. And we did this to recall Canada's presence in the World Wars, what their sacrifice and plight means for Canadians found far and wide. From Berlin to Paris, we traversed the vast European landscape, whether on foot, bus, plane, or train, guided by our trusty staff and EF tour guide. We always got to our final destination with or without all the students or all our luggage. Ed? The perseverance demonstrated by our staff and tour guides to keep us safe, happy, and fed was impressive, and more impressive still was that no one was pickpocketed or scammed in Paris. Even after an unnamed student grand totaled 11 street petitions signed, a common trick in pickpockets' arsenal, showing off his impressive maneuverability and his ability to do the right thing, apparently to the benefit of Parisians citywide, without losing his wallet. One aspect of the trip that flipped my perspective upside down was the people who we encountered across our travels. From the gas station Burger King employees to our major city tour guides, I felt welcome, accommodated, and respected, especially as a mostly English speaker in a very foreign environment. I held a certain gratitude for those who worked and curated the many monuments embodying the Canadian struggle and resolve in the world wars, as they were the ones keeping their legacy alive and passing down that responsibility to us as students so that we may honor them in each our own way. To finish off, As now a well-seasoned traveler, I have 3 pro tips for people traveling or thinking of traveling across Europe. Number 1, choose your travel companions wisely. They might be the ones with your wallet, not the locals. I learned the hard way. Hold on to only essentials in your backpack. Only essentials. And watch out for currency exchanges. Never trust a currency exchanger. Thank you all to the staff that made it happen, and to the friends that made it along the way, and to Jack Norman, the Burger King. Thank you.
A final thank you and expression of gratitude on my part, personally, to the students that engaged so wholeheartedly in these experiences, and a special thanks to the staff that gave up their time to organize and support you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mays, and thank you to the students who spoke. So I think if there's any doubt at all that that these trips are not worth the time and the energy that's spent on them, I think you've alleviated any of those doubts just by your enthusiasm and your description of your experiences. So I have some things to say about the nature of adventure, but I'm going to save those until Saturday. But we do have one more introduction to make. One of the trips that we're hoping to reinstitute next year is our exchange with Azabu High School in Tokyo. And we have 2 of the faculty from Azabu, 2 English teachers, Ms. Takano and Mr. Nakano, who are here visiting, and there they are there. One of them might look like, yeah, please. Thank you. If Mrs. Takano looks like Erica, it's because she's her mother, so that's why that is. So we're going to end with some music by one of the students from Japan who's visiting. I'm going to ask her to come up and introduce herself so I don't butcher her name. She's going to play the flute for us, and we're very appreciative of you standing up and with the courage to perform for us. So we're looking forward to this. So would you like to just introduce yourself and tell us what you are going to play?
Hi everyone, I am Minori Kiriyama and I'm from Ritsumeikan High School of Japan, Kyoto. And I came here with my 7 friends and a teacher, Mr. Hiromatsu. And yes, I want to say thank you to have us in your school. This is a very beautiful place and I love the students and friends, and the classes are very interesting, so I want to say thank you. Thank you. So now I want to play the flute. I love music and I'm so happy to play the flute here. The song I play is, I think you don't know, but this is a song for a flute and for practice, and this is very beautiful to play in church, so I choose this song. So I hope you enjoy it.
Thank you. What courage to come and do that. And what an uplifting way to go into this lovely sunny afternoon. If I could ask the adults and visitors to leave first, and then the prefects will dismiss you as usual. Thank you very much.